So the match finished Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton 3. Welcome to the therapy stream. Evening all, hope you are well and welcome to Grumpy Old Reds. And a couple of us are grumpy and a couple of us maybe not so much. I don't know what the mood is in the chat. We're gonna find out, but we're here to discuss that performance yesterday, Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton 3, and what went wrong, and is this just turning into rinse and repeat? Hope you guys are well. Please make sure you've hit the like if you haven't already. As always, this will be uncensored. This will be straight talk and opinions. You guys know by now how we do this. So let's get into it. General hi to the panel. All well? I can't be asked to go around and do the usual individual stuff. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hope you all in the chat are well. And yeah, there's a lot of talk, but let's try and start with the positive first. I mean, we started off well, boys, didn't we? That goal from Elanga, lovely crossing from Morgan Gibbs-White. 3 minutes in, Forest have scored the most goals in the first 10 minutes or whatever it is. I think 5 in total now. But how are you feeling when the goal went in? Let's kick off with you, Crypto. What are your thoughts on that goal?
It was a case for me of, oh no, we've scored after a few minutes, and I knew exactly what was coming. You could just tell, couldn't you, that we were going to go straight into low block and try and defend the lead for nearly 90 minutes. But yeah, I mean, it was a good goal. I think the main positive out of yesterday for me would actually be Morgan Gibbs-White. I think MGW was my man of the match for Forest. He had a really good game. Elanga played well as well. You know, it was a good goal, and it was a good cross finally. But for me, it set the game up. There was 2 ways it could have gone, and this is what I don't really understand. So we've scored the goal while we're attacking. So why do we then need to go to low block? Because we've just scored a goal while we're attacking. We're in control of the game. Why do we suddenly need to go to low block and invite the pressure? And we've seen it so many times before. And whether it's Cooper's decision, which I can only presume it is, I can only presume that Cooper drills into the players. If you go ahead, then you sit back and defend. There's a possibility that it may be the players who decide to do that and naturally fall back. But I'm guessing it's the management who advised them to do that. But yeah, I mean, on the goal, it was a good goal. You couldn't really ask for a better start.
Yeah, it was a good start. And it kind of just, I said on the live stream, I said, it's like we've scored too early. It's like, oh shit, we scored. Now what? Do we go back into, our comfort zone of, I know you didn't think it was low block. We'll argue that in a bit, no doubt. But like, why did you, what was it? Did you just talk, man? Just talk, because I'm going to explode soon. So just talk.
When the goal went in, I thought, here we go, 5-0 coming up. I didn't for 1 second. I never believe in this scoring too early business. You're either good enough or you aren't. So I thought, here we go, 5-0. And then 5 minutes later, I was thinking, why are we sitting back? This is a team that is ravaged with injury. Not our team, their team. Ravaged with injury. Not won in 6 games. On a poor run of form. Confidence must be low. They've conceded in the first 3 minutes. Yeah. What a perfect time to really hammer home your advantage. And we, as far as I'm concerned, we simply didn't. We simply went and sat back. You say I don't say it was low block. It depends on how you describe low block, but we were definitely sitting back. There's no doubt about it. I mean, a lot of people in the crowd were getting furious as their defenders or their goalkeeper were walking out with the ball virtually to the halfway line. And nobody was coming on to them. So all they had to do was flood our half, and we couldn't get out. Every time we headed the ball out, of course, it went to one of their players. Every time we kicked the ball out, it went to one of their players. Why? Because we had nobody up front. It was quite shocking. Now, I've said for a long time that I believe we've got a really good squad, a squad that's easily capable of mid-table position. So either we're wrong and our squad and our players aren't as good as we think they are, or there's a problem with the management of those players. That can be only two reasons. And for people that come around and say, it's the players, my response would be, well, what's the point of having a manager then? Because when a team plays well, Cooper Masterclass, well done, absolutely brilliant. But when they don't play well, it's the players. It's the players. No, I've now made my mind up. I'm familiar with the belief that the reason we're not picking up the point is because of our negative football. I know that's not like, mind-blowing revelation there, but I've tried and tried. He keeps saying the right things, but I'm not seeing it on the pitch. What I'm seeing on the pitch is the same dull, negative football that we were playing previously, which I forgave because we didn't have the players. It's a lot harder to forgive it now because we do have the players to be better than we are.
Dino, what do you think of what Anne just said? Do you agree with what he's saying, or do you take a couple of issues with that?
In a way, I just want to go back to the goal. Actually, I just love the dummy by Wood to let Elanga in for the goal. Do
you think the cross was aimed at Wood, Dino? Or do you think it was aimed at Elanga?
I think it was probably aimed at Wood, wasn't it? He was in the middle. Elanga was sort of ghosting him behind unmarked. I mean, Crypto and I were watching it together, and we were screaming, weren't we? We were screaming all afternoon, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
15
going back
minutes, wasn't it, Dino? 15 minutes till Wood touched the ball.
We started off so brightly; it looked fantastic, and you thought, "Here we go." He sent him out now. They're going to really go for it. And then the goal, it was just the weirdest sit back, low block, whatever we want to call it, I've ever seen. It's so early in the game. And we just kind of, I don't know, I think it is mentality. And I think that mentality has been drummed into a lot of the players that were here last season, from last season. That mentality of we're newbies in the Premier League. We need to sort of change our style. Slightly disagree with Anne. I don't think I would have picked the same team sheet as Cooper did, to be honest. I don't think there's anything I would have changed about that.
Me too.
But,
me too.
And we started really, really well, but then I don't know. I thought the players were poor almost to a man yesterday, other than probably Einar, Elanga, and MGW. I think they were really, really poor. The midfield were shocking, and I think that's what killed us. They just ran through our midfield. Well, they didn't run through it; they passed round us. So, yeah. But no, listen, I can see. You guys know that I'm not the biggest Cooper fan at all. But there's a point where the players have to take shoulder some of the blame, because they had poor games. That midfield three had just shock us for me.
But that's 1 win in 9. That's 1 win in 9, I believe. When do you start looking at the management?
I look at the management anyway, and I've been hypercritical of Cooper and the tactics, but if one big change this season compared to last is we're now setting up in a 4-3-3 or a slightly different form of sometimes and when a bit later on in the game when MGW stepped into that 10, that looked a lot better again. But back to the management and your comment there, one thing that I do struggle with Cooper and the backroom team is I still don't see an identity at Forest. I watched Tottenham and Villa. I know exactly how they're going to play. I watched Man United. I know exactly how they're going to play, but I just don't see an identity for us at the minute.
I think most people would say we're a low block team.
Yeah.
If you ask other fans, they say Forest a low block team. That is a style.
The identity is default back to low block, and it's pathetic, to be honest.
Can I just drop onto when we went behind and we went low block? I mean, for me, you say that it might be. You said, Crypto, that it might be it might be the players, but I don't know if it was Ant actually. But at the end of the day, Cooper should have been screaming at him to get up if it wasn't Cooper's decision.
Yeah, but he won't.
Can I just briefly interject there? I said to Joe, who I was sitting next to, not that Joe, another Joe. Jojo, yeah. I said, why is Deserby was virtually on the pitch for the? I've gone.
Yeah, just keep talking. I'm just adjusting, so don't worry.
Okay.
Can hear him backstage?
Deserby was literally on the pitch. His shoes were practically on the pitch for the entire game. He never set foot in his own box at all. He was always outside, shouting, roaring, encouraging. bollocking, all those things that you see managers do. Now, every manager's got his own style. So this is not a criticism per se, but it makes you wonder. Because I looked over at Steve Cooper and he was literally hands in his pocket like this. No emotion, hands in pocket. And maybe some players would respond to a little bit more animation on the sideline. Maybe some players need a bit of bollocking. Maybe they need to be told what to do occasionally. But there's none of that from Steve Cooper. As I say, different managers have different styles. But it just was very, very stark between the two managers. One looked young, dynamic, forceful. The other one looked kind of middle-aged, not really bothered. That was what it looked like.
And I think that's an interesting point. 'Cause I get what you're saying about the style. Ignore that for a second. If you take what you just said there and turn it into the question of, did the players go into, deeper line or low block, whatever you want to call it, or did the manager tell them? I think that tells you a lot, because if Cooper didn't want them playing lower and deeper, why wasn't he reading them the riot act from the sideline?
Precisely.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
If he was angry at their line, he should have been screaming for them to move that line up.
Yeah.
But he didn't at all. It was very bizarre watching the difference between. I know which one I thought I wish was my manager. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a professional footballer. I don't actually know how much difference that makes. But it's, many, many years ago, we were in an FA Cup final against Tottenham Hotspur, and it went to extra time. And one of the biggest, maybe only criticisms Brian Clough's ever had is that at half time, Terry Venables, God rest his soul, went on to all his players, and you could see him in the middle of the circle, geeing them up, pointing. Brian Clough never left his seat, and everybody saying, "What's Cloughie doing? What's Cloughie doing?" And we lost. Just saying.
Yeah. Gonna quickly say out to Lemmy in just a second. We've got a few super chats, and I want to know what you guys are thinking in the chat. The comments are flying in. I'm trying my best to keep up with them. Easiest way, as always, if you've got something desperately important you want to get off your chat, your chest, chuck it in a super chat. We'll bring it up. Sharky, I think his feelings are quite clear with the $3.99. Thank you so much. Cooper, here is your bus fare. I think that says everything that we need to know with where Sharky's
hang on. We need more money than that for Cooper's bus fare.
Yeah, Wales is quite far, isn't it? And the hat says with the $4.99. Thank you so much, bro. Don't agree, Dino. Why didn't Dominguez in first half not go past out his own half? It was low block, matey. Simple as. Where's Poulter? Ez came on and he was lagging, and then he just jumped back off. He was like, I ain't doing it. But
I actually didn't say that it wasn't low block. I said it was low block or whatever Ant called it. We sat low after the goal.
Yeah,
so
I said whether you want to
you.
call it low block or
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. We sat deep.
Sitting back.
I mean, there were times in the game where we had 8 of our own players in our own box. So you can't get much lower than that.
Yeah. We got £2 from the lovely Brandon, who is, I can confirm him and answer friends again. Thank you so much for the £2. I love Coops, but I'm fed up. He doesn't have answers, says Brandon. Thank you so much, Brandon, for your super chat. And the beautiful Nottingham Now and Then with the £10. Instagram, baby. Thank you so much. Make sure you're following us on Insta, !Insta. Dave's doing such a great job for us on there. So if you've got Instagram, make sure you're following. I'm sure one of the mods will put the link in for you, or you can do it yourself, ! Insta. Keep your comments coming in. Look, we put a poll because there's a lot of talk. We'll come on to the whole Cooper debate in a minute, because there's all newspaper rumors flying around and everything. Are you Cooper in, out, or on the fence? And currently 32% are Cooper in, 38% are Cooper out, and 30% are on the fence, which is quite interesting. It's quite interesting. Lemmy, I needed you on tonight. That voice of reason. How are you, bro?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's been a weekend for me. I've been sorry?
It's been a few weeks since you were up in Scotland, man. You got back, all right?
Yeah, I've been back. I've been away this weekend. I've had a weekend of culture. I've been down in London, down in the theatre. So
is that why you've grown that moustache?
Yeah, that's exactly. I was sat in the posh seat, so I had to have something to kind of be like doing this. So.
Did you borrow Ezra's trousers?
I did, but then there were only really boxers on me, so then I had to actually put trousers on. So.
I thought you had a moustache to disguise. I thought you had a moustache to disguise yourself when you're into the flesh pots of Soho. I didn't realise it was culture.
Let's hear some voice of reason from you, mate. How are you feeling after the game? What's your overarching impressions?
It's the same mold, isn't it? Really, it's every week. It's just annoying. It almost feels like that 2-0 win against Aston Villa is like years ago. We're back into the same mold where there is never a comfortable game being a Forest fan. That felt so out of the blue, going 2-0 up against Villa and thinking, I don't need to worry going into extra time. But now we seem to be back into the same mold of, oh, we're now 1-0 up. Okay, that's it. We've scored our goal. Now we've got 80, 90 minutes to try and hold on to this lead. It is infuriating to watch. It's any other team that we want to, especially when we've got the players that were brought in and we all aspire to try and push on up the league. Any team in the top 10 would go 1-0 up after 3 minutes and they'd immediately go on to try and score that second goal within the first 10 to try and really put the game to them and really pretty much put a stamp on it. We just don't do that at this Forest. We always try and get that goal and then try and hang on. And that just has to change. It has to change if we want to try and move up. I can't.
That's my biggest complaint as well. Actually, saw Villa today against Tottenham, and Villa went 2-1 up, and they were still pushing. I agree completely.
I can't see any other way to progress. If we try and hang on against any team in this league, we've seen it. Even against Luton, we've got a 2-0 lead and we're trying to hang on and we can't do it. We've got no chance if that's the way that we're going to play. We have to go for the jugular every time, especially at home. When we've got a goal and we've got that advantage, we have to try and make it 2 and 3 and quit. But we just don't. And it is grating on me.
I actually sent Wolfie a text message after about half an hour or so of the Tottenham Villa game, and I thought, how come Spurs have got a shitload of injuries to many of their players, and yet they're still playing attacking football? I'm actually jealous of Spurs. You know what I mean? That's how bad it's got. I'm looking at other teams now that play attacking football, and I think I wish that was us. Before anybody says, I know Spurs lost in the end. Before anybody says anything,
we were playing attacking football for 3 minutes.
Yeah,
and then it all changed for no reason.
I think my frustration, Dino, coming to you on this is, you know, when we went 1-0 up and then we went into the low block, and then let's just fast forward a second to the 3-1. I had this feeling in the back of my head, I bet we'll come out now and start attacking a little. And lo and behold, we did. And I think that is part of it. I've got a lot of things I'm frustrated about, but it's part of my frustration is why it's clearly in the team that they can attack. But why is it we only see it as a case of, well, we've blown the game now, we might as well go and try and see what we can do? Why couldn't we have done that after the 1-0? I'm not saying go gun-ho, but why is it like one extreme to the other? And I don't know if you agree with that or if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. But whenever we've gone down before, even going back to Man City away when they went down to 10 men, you know, we had a real good go at them, didn't we? Second half.
Yeah.
Arsenal had a real good go at them. You know, these teams that you're right. It takes us to go down one to do that. We look great. You know what? We look great when we're attacking. We look at a really good team.
Yeah.
But when we're defending, it's just we're just as bad as Burnley or Sheffield United when we're defending. And we make that just takes the skill away from the players. Now, I tend to agree with that. And that's got to be down to the management, you know, initial briefing in the week. It's got to be in the mentality now. And he's very slow to adapt, I think, Cooper. You know, and he was slow to move from the 5-back low block away when it obviously didn't work when we only won 1 away last season.
It's only taken 2 years.
You know, not just our channel, other channels as well in the Forest community were calling out for we need to do this, we need to do this. And he seems very late to the party. You know, substitutions too late, bad substitutions, and then they changed it, go into a 4-3-3 or a more attacking formation. A few months later, he changes it. So it's really frustrating that you can't see things quickly and, you know, change things. It just drives me mad. Thanks, Straight Out Nottingham. Thank you.
I love that name, by the way. Straight Out. So creative.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
So creative. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Ben, you were saying something there.
Yeah, I was saying it's only taken Cooper 2 years to change to an attacking formation that lasted 3 minutes. I think it's a bit of a joke. I mean, I'm presuming, as Dino's just said, it's got to be the management drilling into them that if you go up, then you fall into a defensive formation. I think the only reason why we start playing attacking when we go down is just the natural thoughts of the players that they've got to try and win the game back. But, you know, the whole formation went into low block yesterday. So I don't really think it's the players. It must be something to do with the way they're set up. But it's just, it's negative. It's negative football. And we've said it quite a lot. And it's not, you know, we've got some really interesting players. We've got Lacklustre, etc. Some of the fastest players in the league. Morgan Gibbs-White was having a good game. And they need to be attacking. Somebody said in the chat, do you think that the players enjoy playing low block? And, you know, I highly doubt it.
Let me bring that up because
it must suck the life out of him, Crypto.
Let me read now. Let me give Sai the respect he deserves because, you know, Sai called us out on Friday and rightly so. And he's put £2. Thank you so much, Sai, for doing that. Do you think the players enjoy the low block? So go on, let's have a quick chat about this.
So you've got Murillo starting. Murillo is like an attacking centre back now. He could start Bolly, but he chooses to start Murillo. Murillo yesterday was pinging balls left and right up the pitch to the wingers. That's an attacking play style. So why are we sitting back in a low block formation when? And also, just to say, I know Sangare was dropped because he was ill, but then you put Danilo on, who's pretty much a cam. And at the start, he was playing almost like a number 10. He was through the middle. So you've got really attacking players on the pitch, probably our most attacking players, and yet you're asking them to sit back with the 1-goal lead with 87 minutes to go.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that low block stuff? Do the players enjoy it? Do you feel like, how can I say this? Do you think the players? I think the players are still playing for him, but are they I guess the question I'm asking: are they buying into the philosophy? And
well, if you look at the players we've got, and as I agree with Dino, I looked at that team sheet yesterday and I thought, brilliant. He's only really tied. I know Sangare was out, but that's through illness. And, you know, we had Danilo come in, who's not a bad backup, you know, in that situation, especially if you're going to be more progressive. So I assumed that we were going to be more progressive. And as everybody said, we were for the first 5 minutes. I don't think that our team's built to sit back. If you look at the kind of players we've got, I mean, Einar certainly likes a run forward. Murillo certainly likes a run forward. Then you've got, I think that like Bolly and Felipe, I think they're quite happy to be defenders. You know what I mean? Aurier, if Aurier's playing, he likes to bomb down the wing. Toffolo likes to bomb down the wing. Then you've got the midfield. Yeah, okay. Mangala's probably happy to sit there. Even Sangare, I think, is more of a progressive. You know, I know he's supposed to be number 6, but I think he's a progressive number 6.
Yeah,
and then you've got either Danilo or Dominguez. Dominguez has a reputation of being a fantastic presser, but that's from the front, not from the back. And then Danilo is obviously like a number 8. He's quite happy to bomb forward. So, you know, we've got most of our players, I would say, are progressive attacking style players. So I shouldn't think for 1 second they enjoy sitting back. And maybe that's why they're crap at it.
Our players have been asked to play much deeper than their natural positions, just generally. And I'll give you a couple of examples. One was Freuler. Look how he plays for Switzerland. A lot further forward than he did. And another one's Mangala. If you watch him for Belgium, he's right up there.
True.
So, and he plays much deeper for Forest. It's just it's a bit of a weird one. I think you know, we are hindered up front. You know, Hudson-Odoi has only just come back. Elanga, I thought, had a pretty good game. MGW, again, I think had a pretty good game, although he does drive me mad at sometimes. But at the end of the day, he put his numbers in yesterday. You know, he got 1 goal, 1 assist. I'm not complaining at that. For me, that's man of the match. I'm always complaining about MGW's numbers, and I couldn't yesterday because he filled his numbers in. Fine, great. But the big problem is up front. We can't afford any injuries. We're going to have a tough run up to Christmas, guys. Really are going to have a tough run up to Christmas because of that striker problem.
Dina, I'm sorry, that feels like an excuse because it goes back to what
I don't like that either.
Yeah,
If
it
you
goes
can't
back to
go
what
without
Crypto
one
said.
player. That's shit.
We've got
It's not
3
one player
injuries.
though, is it? Alan? We've got no cover.
It is.
It's not because Wood had a stinker yesterday.
Well, shall we say one position then, Dino? One position. You can always play a false
3
nine.
positions up front. So we've got 3 or 4. So we've got MGW, who we've got no cover other than Aguilera for MGW if he plays a number 10. On the right-hand side and the left-hand side, we've got no cover. So if one of those two get injured, MGW has to go out. And then we've got Tyro now injured long-term. So we've got 2 best championship players, which we've always said. And, you know, we do need to back these guys. I know what you're saying, and you can argue with me all day long, but we've got what we've got till Christmas, till New Year.
Yeah, but I am going to argue with you, Dina. I am going to argue with you because there's 3 injuries. This whole fiasco, this whole narrative that Forest have injuries. Taiwo's out, Felipe's out, well, but he trains, and Sangare was sick. The rest who were injured were there. Callum Hudson-Odoi on the bench.
I'm not talking about injuries. I'm not talking about injuries.
Hold on. Then your complaint needs to be the recruitment was wrong, which is something Crypto said weeks ago, and we kind of poo-pooed him. And fair play to you, Crypto, for calling it out. You said that we bought too many defenders, and we should have bought more in the attack. And I think he's been kind of vindicated on this. I really do.
I think we all said that. I think we all said that, to be fair. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? We've only got like 1 quality striker, and we've got 2 wingers. I mean, that's not enough, is it?
It's like Mopé playing up front all season, isn't it? You're not going to get the output, are you? It's like everybody's second striker, and you're just not going to get the output.
So we have to be clever. That's why you have to be clever and play with formations and try different players.
Exactly that. And we might have to flex those formations to be very narrow up front with maybe 2 10s behind, something like that. Or 10 behind and maybe Alanga and Odoi up front. It's not perfect, I know. And we know that Alanga's not a striker. We know Odoi's not a striker, but we have no choice at the minute. We have nothing. And if we're relying on those 2 forwards that turned up on Saturday till the new year, which we have to, unless we change the formation, we're going to struggle in games.
But if you look at Brighton's backup striker, João Pedro, I mean, he was
about 30 million, wasn't he?
Yeah, but our backup striker is Chris Wood, and he's just absolutely abysmal.
Yeah, but annoying that we scored 2 and we let in 3. So there's obviously a problem in this match elsewhere further down the pitch.
This is really important what Dino's just said. Scoring is not our problem. It's letting stupid goals in, that's our problem. And my belief is that the team is built for attacking, and we're not attacking, we're defending, and we're not very good at it. Obviously, you can see that by the results. So why are we playing attacking players in a defensive formation or using defensive tactics? Makes no sense. Our strength is going forward. So we don't do it often. Yesterday, was it yesterday? God, blimey.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, yesterday, I felt, now you guys might have a different view of this because I was actually there, and it's slightly, you get a different feeling for it. I felt, and this is what I was so annoyed about, that every time we attacked, their defense was shocking, let me tell you. Brighton's defense was shocking. And I felt every time we attacked, we looked like we had a chance of scoring. But we only attacked about 3 times in the whole bloody game. That was the problem. The problem was we weren't attacking. Simple.
It's fun. Go on, man.
I was just going to say as well, Chris Wood yesterday, I think we counted how many times he touched the ball. I think it was 6 in the whole match. But what he was actually doing is he was sitting behind the midfielders. He was sitting behind. He wasn't even getting into the other side of the box. There was a time where I think Morgan Gibbs-White was shooting, and Chris Wood was outside the box behind him.
Yeah. Should have been in the 6-yard
Of course
box.
he
Yeah.
was,
What are you
because
saying?
he's not a natural goal scorer. I've mentioned this, and I was proven correct yesterday. Anybody could see it.
Yeah, you have, and you're quite right. But he was bought as a striker, and if you've not got the pace,
Was he?
then
Was
you
he?
need the strength and the aerial ability, and he's got neither.
Was
And
he?
I've got to say, the one
Was
thing that really concerned me yesterday about Wood's performance was his lack of work rate. It was shocking,
Yeah,
you know.
too slow.
And
I want to
me and
get on
Cripps was
him,
screaming
Dino.
for him to come off at half time, and he didn't.
Yeah.
And we're just like, Cooper, why don't you bring him off? He's had a shocking game. But then, to be fair to Cooper, he brought Origi on. He was just as
Yeah.
bad.
How can you say he had no work rate when he got all the way back to give a penalty away? You're being very unfair.
We'll come on to that. We'll come on to
His
that.
work rate
Let me
was
just,
shocking.
I want to bring the chat into this. So Sci-Fi is saying Cooper is not the man. Cooper is not the manager. He is
Not
the
the
head
manager.
coach.
He's the head coach.
Start looking at the recruitment team. Okay, you can say that all you want, but Cooper was the one who insisted on Chris Wood. Cooper's the one who brought Chris Wood to the club. Cooper's the one who brought Shelvey to the club. I can tell you that with 1,000,000,000% certainty. Okay. The recruitment team, the players they have brought in are good enough. Cooper's the one who sent Dennis out on loan. Cooper's the one who sent Scarpa out on loan. You know, these are... Go on, Ben.
Cooper's the one as well who says Chris Wood is part of the leadership team. But
Yes.
What's he leading us in? Being
Yeah.
as shit as possible because he's crap.
Yeah. And why are all our leaders not on the pitch? Because Worrell's the captain. He's not on the pitch. Chris Wood is a backup striker. So our leadership teams are what? Are they Jesse Lingards again? They're just there with their pom-poms on the sidelines.
He's our main striker now, mate. He's our main striker now.
The other side of that as well is I don't want to talk about captains again, but Morgan Gibbs-White is now our captain, and we don't want to play low block because he's a progressive player. So why have we made him captain? You may as well make Blackademus captain and say everybody.
He's captain because he's a favourite. Forget there's nothing tactical about MGW being captain. It's Cooper's favourite. He said that he'll always be in the team, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Can we try to avoid it? First of all, people blame the recruitment team. Have you seen our recruitment? It's been magnificent. Some of those players we brought in, that squad is good enough. I ain't blaming the players for these results, right? That squad, that team is good enough.
Not true.
That's not true, Owen.
Sorry to interrupt. Not true. That is not true, Owen.
Well, it kind of is, but it's not.
It's not.
He was the messenger. The director was the
Cooper.
messenger.
It was forced through by him. I'm telling you this with 1,000,000,000% certainty. Unless you're going to give me some better sources than what we have, then I'm sorry. You can go national press all you want. Yeah. I'm telling you the 1,000,000,000% certainty.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care who bought what player in. It's up to the manager to get the best out of the players.
That's a fair point.
These are all petty in comparison to what's actually happening at the club, and that is that we're losing games.
Yeah.
I don't want people. How can I put this without offending anybody? I get fed up when people, and it happens with every club, start scapegoating one player. This is not all down to Chris Wood. We can't just concentrate on Chris Wood. I know it's vital. I know if Tyro's right. I know all that.
That's a fair point.
But you start blinding yourself to the other problems if you just say it's all Wood's fault. It's all Wood's fault.
No, it's not Wood's fault.
We scored 2 goals yesterday. That's not Wood's fault. Penalty might have been.
Let me just bring in a couple of. I think this is really sad. This really breaks my heart to read. My boys 8, 6, and 3 have stopped watching games with me this season because it's too boring. And you can't argue it, can you? You can't argue. I remember when I was trying to bring my boys into football, into Forest back in the day, yeah, when we were crap, and they weren't interested in it. You know, all their other mates were freaking Liverpool, Arsenal fans, etc. So that does worry me to hear that. We're gonna
following on from that, Wolfie, whatever your fucking name is these days. Don't make me laugh. Following on from that, it shows you how bad it is, because I actually dread us being on the main match on telly, because I think everybody's going to see how shit and boring we are. I want to kind of hide us out of the way until we're good again. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like when I think, oh God, it's Forest versus Forest versus Brighton. It's like, oh God, we're going to embarrass ourselves. How boring we are, you know. And it's true.
Yeah. It's true. Lemmy, I want you to take this one on. So there'd been a lot of build-up in the last couple of weeks about Sangare. By the way, Emma, is my mic level okay now? Hopefully it's not blowing everyone's ears. So a lot of people saying Sangare is still not up to speed, not performing. What is he doing on the pitch? You know, on other channels, on socials, I've seen it all over the place. TC saying Danilo wouldn't make a tackle yesterday. Am I going mad? Can't believe no one else is discussing it. I kind of want to talk about Danilo and his role in it yesterday, Joe. How did you think he was? Is he even fully fit?
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I'm probably not the best person to kind of be asking this question to, as I've not had a chance to watch the full 90 minutes back from yesterday. I've only really been able to kind of have a look at highlights and stuff. So, but I mean, the best place to kind of go from that is probably the last time I was on the show when we were disputing trying to replace out Dominguez for Danilo.
Yeah,
and we're trying to say what do they offer, and we were saying, right, bring Danilo in because he's an attacking minded player. He makes those runs, and we saw that at the back end of last season, scoring 3 goals in 3 games, and you could see it. He'd win the ball in the middle of the pitch and he'd just run up. So that's what Danilo brings to the squad, and that's what you'd expect from him being
unless he's told not to, Lemmy.
Exactly. If he's told to do otherwise, then you obviously have to try and stick to that. But we saw the best out of him when he was doing that and making those progressive runs.
Yeah.
So if he's been replaced to do that instead of Sangare, who we kind of saw was doing a similar role, but Sangare, he's just a tall physical player, isn't he? When you know that there's someone around the ball around him, he's got gangly enough legs to kind of stick a foot at it, win it, and then try and make a run. And that's why I think when we see Sangare at his best, he's going to be phenomenal because he's going to be able to do that defensive work, but also not be afraid to take a player on, make a run, and then look for a pass. He might not have the pace that Danilo's got to break in behind the back line, but that's then an argument to say Danilo's not in a role to play in a middle 3 unless he's going to be trying to be playing more as a cam.
Yeah, but in general, boys, he was poor yesterday. And if he'd got stung at half time, I wouldn't have been upset, to be honest. Go on, Dino.
I said in the last stream the word consistency, and we're suffering with a little bit of that at the minute. You know, poor consistency. They're all good players in the midfield. You know, any one of those 4 plus Yates as a 5, they're all good players, but they're never all good players at the same time, are they? And they're not consistent enough. We've seen it with all of them. You know, we've seen Dominguez have great games, Mangala have great games, but they're just not consistent. Mangala doesn't seem consistent over 90 minutes. It could be brilliant first half, and then he just fades. So consistency is a big thing for me, and that's what. And Alex Ferguson once said, if you've got 7 out of your 11 players at the top of the game on the day, you're right.
You said
Ferguson said if you've got 7 out of 11 players
that we can go along with, there's other.
The old Man United manager, the old United manager said, if you've got 7 out of 11 on top of the game on the day, you'll beat anybody in the world. Yesterday, what we did,
but he talked shit anyway, didn't he? So
we had like 2 players that were decent. You know what I mean? 2 players that were good and 1 that was decent.
I want to.
Can I just
go on?
I was just going to say about Danilo. From what we saw last season, I think we all agree he certainly looks a class player. I hate to be repetitive, but I think that in a more attacking team, he'd be playing better. The way we're playing at the moment, I don't think suits him. And you know, you have to play a style that suits players, or you have to have players that suit your style, one or the other. Because if you do what we're doing, which is, in my opinion, playing good players in a poor style, then you have trouble. Do you remember when we had Chris Hughton as our manager, and we had a set of players?
The C word. We've had the F word, now the C word. Yeah, okay.
That was. We had the players, and they were playing really, really poorly. Yeah, sacked him. Stephen Reed came in. Next game, all of a sudden, everybody going, "Fucking hell, they're good players. Look at them play."
Yeah.
There's proof in the pudding, if you like.
That's a cracking point. The same players flick the switch overnight. It's interesting. Crypto, I know you want to say on this, and I'm going to let you argue with Mark. Mark saying Danilo struggled this season. That's why I would have started Yates yesterday. I know you got a bit to say on Yatesy, so let's transition into this Yates conversation, and then we'll see if everyone agrees with you or not.
I never saw Crypto so angry than that Yates said.
Yeah, I think a build frustration over 85 minutes, and then Yates comes on and misses those 2 headers. I think he could have done a slightly better job. It was frustrating because if he just headed it downwards or a slight angle, it would have gone in and we would have drew, which I think was the least I was expecting out of the game. But I don't think Yates is a bad substitution. I think as well that there's some games where he could possibly start for teams that get wound up easily, for teams that get a lot of yellow cards. I think he could be a benefit there, trying to rough people up. I'm a bit different on Danilo because I don't think Danilo had that bad a game yesterday. One of our goals kind of started when Danilo switched the ball. I can't remember who to, but arguably you could say that the play started from that. But in the same effect, he also kind of caused one of the goals when he lost the ball halfway up the pitch. So I think Danilo hasn't had consistent matches this season, so I don't think we can be too harsh on him. And again, with Yates, he's not getting many minutes, so we can't be too harsh on him yesterday. But that header was a joke. I was pretty much more annoyed with Yates than I was with Chris Wood that takes some.
Yes, you were.
But I was thinking earlier, I don't feel so sorry for that girl now who went round to Shelby's house with Chris Wood, because I'd rather watch Shelby's highlights than Chris Wood's. It's just crap.
We'll come on to Chris Wood. I just wanted to say a massive shout out to Muhammad. It was his birthday yesterday, and he was at the game, I believe. Apologies you had to watch that, but massive happy birthday to you, Muhammad, from FFTV. And I'm sure all the chat will send you some birthday messages now as well. Let's Joe on Yates. I'm gonna ask a controversial question. Yeah, what's he good at? Because I gotta have this debate, third party with Mark here. But what's he good at? I know you're a fan of his, but what is he good at?
He's bloody good at.
Am I?
From Nottingham.
I don't know.
That's news to me. I didn't realise I was.
Okay, maybe you're not.
No.
He's bloody good at coming from Nottingham.
The best thing that Yates, that's the best thing that he brings. He brings I think that's the one thing that I'd probably say for Yates and Worrell. They have something that regardless of any player that you buy in the transfer market, they can't have, and that's a passion for the club. You can't buy any player, and you can buy anyone in the market, and they might say, "Oh yeah, I know about the club's history. They won this and that," but they don't actually want Forest to win. They want the team to win that they're playing for. They have no affinity for whatever the club does, if they're there or not. So yeah, that's one thing.
Sorry to interrupt you, Lammy. I was going to say, if Worrell wanted the club to win that much, then he'd resign.
But that's the question is what do they bring? And that's the only thing that they bring, in my personal opinion.
I would add one thing. Work rate.
Ryan Yates runs around. He runs around a lot. I'll give him that. But that's it. He will put his heart and soul into running up and down the pitch and trying his best, but he's not better than any other player at any other technical skill on the pitch.
He can be as technical as you want, though, Lemmy. If you don't apply it and you don't work at it, it doesn't work. We've seen players like top players that should have reached the echelons of football that have fell by the wayside over the years because of the work rate and the lack of passion for the game. So it does carry something. I just wish some more of the players yesterday. I mean, I'll take Aina, and MGW has a lot of passion. I'll give him that. But the passion I saw up front yesterday was shocker from those two strikers, and the midfield were poor. And I just think if they would have had Yates's work rate, then we probably would have won that game. I mean, they let us back in it. Now, let's not forget, guys, when they went 2-1 up, it could have been full. They could have gone on easy and scored 3 or 4, because they were just passing around us like we were just couldn't get near them.
Can I just say about Yatesy? First of all, Chock-a-Block, thank you very much. He's pointed out it's actually from Lincoln. So
that's true.
Yeah. That's one of his attributes gone then, by the way. I've always said with Yatesy, I'm happy to have the guy in the squad. I have no problem. I think he can come on as a substitute in certain games and perform a good task. I have no problems. I don't think he's one we should be worrying about, to be honest. But he's not a starter, by the way. He's not.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm genuinely asking the question, because I've just been looking through the chat and the messages here. The positives for Yates are passion and get stuck in. Yeah. And as Carol said, she's got passion. And I'm not having a dig at Yates. I like him as an impact sub. I think he can produce some stuff at times. Yeah. But there's a certain section of the fan base, and you know, I'll pick on Mark because me and Mark are mates. But Mark would definitely start him. Yeah. And would anyone start Yates? Chance, yes or no? Would Yates get into that starting at 11? You're shaking your head.
No chance. I feel, especially playing 3 in the midfield, I feel like we've seen that our best 3 midfielders are what we've been starting with, and we've tried to develop some kind of stability within Sangare, Mangala, and Dominguez. If you have to actually swap one out because one's out with illness, then I'd say Danilo's then the next one that I'd be bringing in. I feel like that's the one thing that we've probably got right so far this season, is having stability in that midfield and playing the best 3 midfielders, which have been Sangare, Mangala, and Dominguez.
That's not a bad position for Yatesy to be in. A player of his quality, you know, whatever you think that is. I think if we've got out those 3 with Danilo as the next man up, then obviously if we get an injury in that midfield and Danilo comes in, then Yates is the man on the bench to come off. I think for a player of his quality, I think that's okay. I don't think he should have a complaint with that.
Yeah, when they brought him on yesterday, they obviously brought him on because of the poor performance of one of the midfielders, and he did make an impact. Yes, he did miss, but he did make an impact, more of an impact than the other 3 did. So, somebody's put an impact sub, absolutely perfect.
So
Origi made a career out of that at Liverpool, didn't he?
Everybody's going on about that header. I've seen superstar strikers miss them kind of headers. It's a bit.
Listen,
it's a bit rough to say shit because he missed that header. It wasn't that bloody easy, you know. It was flying across. It was hard, and he got his head on it and punched it in the right direction.
I'm not criticising him for the header because at the end of the day, he could have skied that or put it wide.
Everybody's saying he should have scored. He should have scored. 50.
He got it on target. He made the keeper make. The only thing he did slightly wrong is if he'd have headed it down, it'd have been a goal. Yeah. It was a really good height for the keeper, wasn't it? That was the only thing he did wrong.
You've got to take your chances.
I've seen superstar strikers head them over. Not even
exactly.
So,
he got it on target. That's all you can ask.
Yeah, but
if we'd have won 4-1 and he'd have missed that header, nobody would have mentioned it, would they? Let's be honest.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, but the point here is that he's got a reputation, the whole 50p piece head thing. Yeah,
he got over it for a while, didn't he? He got over it for a while and scored a few headers. And then
remember that late one? Was it against Stoke? Was it against Stoke? He
scored a few, didn't he, over a short period of games?
Yeah, because I used to call him 50p head. He used to drive me up, and then all of a sudden he started scoring a few headers, maybe 3 or 4 or something. And
the one that stood out was it Stoke, chat? Was it that last minute? Was it Stoke in our promotional season? I think it was that last minute one. But the point is, he's got a reputation. So when he misses it, and then he missed the other one a minute later, where he did slice it wide.
Yeah,
literally 2 in a minute. Is that where you kind of boiled over, Crypto?
No, I boiled over the first one. I think I was nearly.
I can't repeat what he said. Honestly, I can't. Even though they're all mostly adults in the chat, I can't repeat it.
Yeah, we'll wait to the
language I've never heard before.
3 a.m. Yeah, it's a good job Dino didn't have a TV on the wall and had his projector instead, because I probably would have threw my pint of Budweiser through it.
I'm glad you didn't pay 49 quid and everybody watch it. Sat next to me, I might have been in trouble.
All right, just very quickly, there's I think 350 of you guys in here. Thank you for tuning in. We've got 77 likes, and make sure you've hit that like button if you haven't already. Do appreciate it. And also, I just want to say a massive thank you to you guys for getting us over that 15k line and then flying straight past it. Thank you guys so much. This community honestly is nothing without you guys, and the fact that you're chilling here on a Sunday night is absolutely amazing. So we do appreciate it. Was it both Stoke and Sheffield United?
I think it like it. Yeah.
It was Sheffield United. It was. And they're both red and white stripes. Okay. I'm gonna get on to Chris now. I'm gonna get on to Chris Good. I'm sorry, guys. If there are any kids in the room, it's time to put them to bed. So you've been pre-warned in the chat now. I am sick and tired of that pile of shit playing up front for us. I don't care.
I'm just going to duck out for 2 minutes I'm just going to talk about for 2 minutes. All right.
You don't want to hear the swearing.
I'm
Okay.
fed up. I'm fed up with talking. It's a waste of time talking about Chris Wood. So I'll
I'm
be back.
sorry.
I'll still be here.
All right, I'm just
No,
gonna get it off my
we'll have a
chest.
fight.
Okay. All right. I am sick and tired of his lack of mobility, his lack of pace, his lack of pretty much everything, including scoring goals against the crappy teams, right? I am at the stage now when he gave that penalty away yesterday. I just wanted him to be sent off. I would have preferred us with 10 men. I honestly, genuinely would have preferred him to have got sent off because then he couldn't play in the next game. Now, I know the problem is we haven't got... I mean, Origi is probably just as bad. And we'll talk about him in a minute. He could be worse, actually. Yeah. At least Chris Wood, to be fair to him, has scored against the crappy championship teams that we've played this season. But we've got just such a problem now with strikers, but we're still scoring goals. It's just weird. What do we do? Would anyone here play a false nine now? And if you would, who would be the false nine? Because I can't envisage this style that Cooper's playing, where it's counter-attack football, where you do need pace, where you do need strength, like we got with Taiwo. You can't play that style with Chris Wood there. We said it last week. If you're going to play Chris Wood, you have to try and set up to his strengths. And his strengths are not pacey counter-attacking football. But I'm just done with him. I'm done with him. I don't think if he's got a hat-trick against Everton, he would change my mind, to be honest. I'm done with him.
Crypto wants Yates as a target man. Don't you, buddy?
I really would.
I think, I think there's got to be, until we can get a striker in, if we get a striker in January, it's not guaranteed, I mean, Simon Jones popped over yesterday and he said the same thing. It's not that easy getting a good striker. Everybody's after him. But, for me, I think I've said it before, you've got to move Elanga in a bit. And Odoi now is back in a bit. And MGW in the middle as that false nine. Almost like they're inside forwards rather than wingers or strikers. I don't think we've got a choice. If Wood's going to play like that again, then we may as well play with 10 men. And me and Crypto were discussing this yesterday. It was light having 10 men. We were counting
a lot yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We shouted a lot. It was like, say we were counting his touches, and there was like, in the first half, there was like 6 touches. One went out of play, header. 2 went to the opposition. Yeah. And it's like, what? And there's no chasing. There's nothing. It's just like jogging around. I don't know. It frustrated me yesterday. But at the end of the day, he's a Forest player, and Origi is, and we have no one else. So if he's going to play him up front, we've got to back him. We've got to back him.
Yesterday, he brought nothing to the game. He obviously couldn't score. A few people argue that some strikers are there to hold up the ball. Well, he didn't do that either.
Can't do that.
He had no vision. He was out of position. He's too slow. He came back to defend, and he basically made us concede a goal. So yesterday has got to be one of his worst performances in a Forest shirt, I think. And that's being nice. I mean, personally, what I would do probably in desperation is cancel Hwang's loan and bring Hwang back, because at least he was scoring in pre-season. I don't see our strikers getting us any goals. I don't think Origi will be as bad as Chris Wood. I think Origi's got a bit more pace, but yeah, he didn't look great either.
Does he look like he cares, Crypto? Does Origi look like he gives a shit? He's just picking up a paycheck, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't know. I have no idea if he cares or not. I hope he cares, and I would hope as well that Chris Wood cares as a member of the leadership team. But the effort that they put in yesterday for me was not good enough. And I agree with Ant that we can't blame just one player for the reason that we lost. I more so blame the tactics after we went 1-0 up. But it was not a good performance from Chris Wood, and if he plays like that every game, it's going to be a bad few months.
Yeah. Let me just do a couple of super chats quickly. Sorry, Ant. Simon F with another £2. Thank you so much, bro. Love FFTV, voice opinion, and don't get blocked, bro. You can say what you want, obviously within reason. Yeah.
Not get blocked yet, anyway.
Just don't call Ant fat.
Why is that called fat? I'm not fat.
I don't know. He's not fat, by the way. I just don't call him.
You can call me fat if you want. I noticed that De Zerbi had been on his treadmill, but I looked at it yesterday. I was a bit jealous. I might have to get back on my treadmill.
Sharky with
Can I have
the
my
15
cat?
months. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. bro. He's
Funny, that was
absolute
at the end.
legend. And then this comment just stands out to me like a sore thumb. I 1,000,000% agree with you, Mark.
That would be my first option before changing formation, to bring one of these lads in. And he needs to get him on the bench at least, very least, the next game. Very least.
I think it's a cracking point. It's a cracking point. Look at Ferguson. What have we got to lose? What have we got to lose by putting him on the bench at least? Isn't Cooper meant to be this manager or coach that develops young players? Well, let's see these players come through then. It's worth a shot for me.
It is worth a shot. It is worth a shot because it was like 10 players yesterday when when Wood went off and Origi came on, it was just like playing with 10 all day long. So yeah, I mean, these lads are going to be hungry, aren't they? Never going to have an opportunity like this to get a game and cement the place. So
apparently,
he's still on loan, but I'm talking for me personally. I'm talking more about a song who I think looks like he's got some talent.
Yeah. Taylor is out on loan. You're right, Harvey. Tony, there's just Dennis. Yeah, I mean, it irks me still that Dennis. And I know that there's a lot of people that don't like Dennis, but at the end of the day, he's better than what we've got up front for me.
100%.
I mean, he's got finish on him, Dennis, and because he fell out with Cooper, whatever happened, I don't know, but it's not good enough. He's got to put the club first before personal stuff.
Lemmy, would you bring him in?
Sending them out like that and sending, I know we go on about it. I know we bang on about it and it gets boring, but sending the attacking players out when we knew we were short is a ridiculous decision, whoever's made it.
Yeah. Lemmy, would you look at a song maybe coming in?
Sorry?
Would you look at, say, a song coming in, being upgraded up into the first team? Or do you think it's too big a jump?
I mean, it's a hell of a jump, but it's got to be worth the risk rather than just putting in someone who you know is not really going to contribute much, but you're just putting him in there to kind of make up the numbers and justify the reason that we've signed him for 15 million in the summer. I feel like that's half of the reason why he's getting picked, because especially that transfer fee that's lingering over him, and we signed him as a crisis signing back in January and then played him for 3 games and then he didn't play again, and then all of a sudden we've triggered the automatic signature in the summer. It felt like it's like buyer's remorse. We've got him and now all of a sudden we've got him and we feel like we have to use him, otherwise it's a justified waste of 15 million. So I feel like that's the reason why he is getting so much game time. But if we bring someone else in, or try and bring someone up the ranks, but realistically, we have to focus on that, and that has to be priority number 1 and 2 and 3 in the summer for me.
Even Origi was a last-minute thing because he was there when me and Acid Burnout were at the see Sangare on that last transfer night. He was there.
Mark. Can I respond to this for Mark?
Yeah.
I had a photo team yesterday with Brian Laws, and then Gemmo came on the other side, so they were either side of me. Now, I wear my big quilted coat when I'm at the match, so I might look a bit bigger, bit bigger. But after we had the photo, Gemmo turned to me and said, "Oh, I stood here, so I look slimmer." That's you cheeky bastard. Oh.
Okay. Let's move this forward and let's talk about Cooper. And I don't really give a shit who I upset, because there are reports that came out pretty much at full time yesterday. I think it's from the Daily Mail. I mean, you take that with what you want, but usually there is some kind of smoke without fire. Now, what I'll say is I've not heard anything myself about any pressure on the job or anything like that, but it is going to start to ramp up. And, 1 win in 9. The tactics for me after we went 1-0 up were pathetic. I put that on the management. And what I will say is, for anyone who's like, oh, you're gonna anti-Cooper this, anti-Cooper that, go back and watch our stream after Villa. Go back and watch the stream after West Ham when we lost. We didn't put the blame on Cooper on those. For me personally, on yesterday, I put it on management. I'll include Cooper at the head of it. He always says the buck stops with him, but I'll include his freaking assistants. What is Tatey doing? What are the 2 Reeds doing? What's Stephen Reed doing? Has Stephen Reed come back and impacted this team in any shape or form? Is he in the position to impact this team in any shape or form? You know, what's going on with the management structure there? But the pressure is clearly ramped up. The reports are saying that Marinakis and Cooper's relationship are strained. We know that to be true from a while back. I think a lot of people were commenting on it. Was it after the Arsenal match or the Palace match when there looked like there was a bit of tension or what have you? But where are you guys thinking now on where Cooper currently is? Is he under pressure? Let's kick this off with who wants to kick it off? I'll leave it open. I can't remember who hasn't started. Go on, Ant.
Of course, he's under pressure. He's a Premier League manager. Every Premier League manager is under pressure. I think that I honestly can't see this going on for too much longer. This is not me saying Cooper out, Cooper in or anything. I'm just stating what I believe. I can't believe that this can be allowed to carry on for a lot longer. Mr. Marinakis has put an awful lot of money in. He's bought an awful lot of good players. He himself wants to see attractive football, which is a great bonus for us as fans. Not only we're not playing attractive football, but we're losing games as well. That's a recipe for the sack, whichever way you look at it. Now, there's obviously always love for Steve Cooper. I understand that. I understand why I love Steve Cooper. He'll always be a legend in my eyes, no matter what. That doesn't mean I want him to stay, but you know, from what he's done in the past. But the past is the past. So yeah, of course he's under pressure, and the games don't get any easier. You know, we looked at this set of games and thought, oh, points. Well, that hasn't worked out, has it? Look at our home record, and that's the other thing. Once managers start getting the home record to be not so good, that's when the pressure really comes. You can get away with it a little bit with away performances, but home performances have to be good in that case. And look at our home record this season, how many points we've dropped against what we would consider to be inferior teams. So I think he's under pressure. Everton next is a really interesting one, but you know, we will discuss that at the time. But if we were to lose that, then it starts to get really serious. And I don't think Mr. Marinakis will want that. But obviously he's got to decide who he wants next, and that's where another problem arises. Who's out there for us? Everybody mentions Lopetegui and Potter. Maybe.
Yeah, but I don't believe that, and I'd spread this out to all Premier League clubs. Well, let me put it this way. You would be stupid as a Premier League club if you don't have a shortlist to hand in your black book. Because you could lose a manager because you've got bad form and he needs to go. You could lose a manager because he's so good that someone wants to snipe him into another club. This can happen at any point on the season. A manager isn't under, you know, the transfer window.
Knocked over by a bus.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. God forbid a manager could die, as you
God
say.
forbid. I mean, not. Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. But the point is like this whole thing of Marinakis doesn't have a shortlist. I don't buy it. I think he's got a favorite, a second favorite, a third. I'd say there's even 5 on his list. I think for me personally, Marinakis is more worried about the reaction of the fan base than keeping Cooper. I personally think he would have got rid of him a while back. And I think what you just said there, Ant, about the home form, if that starts to go, then he is in serious trouble. Dino, you were nodding away on that one.
Yeah, I was agreeing, really. I mean, it's a results game at the end of the day, isn't it? Being a football manager, and the results aren't good. It's like being a striker and not scoring. You know, you're going to get drops, and it's the same in football management, especially at the, you know, one of the top leagues in the world, without a doubt. On the flip side, there's definitely a split, you know, and a lot of people blame us for part of our sort of Cooper out last season. Most of the channel, not all of us on the channel were, but there's definitely a split, and there's a lot of people that love Cooper, and I agree with that. I know why, because of what he did after 23 long years, right? But like I also said, you know, you're only as good as your last game almost. You're only as good as your last season. It's the same in any walk of life. You just can't live off old things forever. But at the end of the day, there might be a problem incoming here for the owner, for the fan base. Because if he does get rid of Cooper soon and a new manager comes in, he's got to learn all those players. Plus, we've got no strike force in terms of those front 3-4. We've not got much up front. So what's a new manager going to walk into? You know, surely it's better to give Cooper till the new year to see how he performs, because he knows the squad, he knows what he's got, he knows what he's not got. And then if he's still not performing, then a new manager can bring a new striker in or new wingers as well. There's not much back up there. What I'm trying to say is I'm not a huge fan of it. You know me. I'm not a huge fan of this. But
why did you get the tattoo then?
But listen, what will happen with the fan base is the Cooper in at whatever cost people, fans, supporters, which they're entitled to, by the way, will be waiting for the new manager to fail. And if he comes in and there's the weakness up front that we've got, then it's highly likely he won't get many more better results than Cooper will. So I would stick for now, personally.
Okay, Matt, apologies. I was waiting for a break in the conversation to bring this up. Yeah, I'll pay. I'll refund your donation and I'll switch it. I know Ings has been crap for you guys, but trust me, you don't want to go down that wood path, mate. Trust me on that one. Apologies, it took a little while to get it up on there. Joe, where are you on this whole Cooper in, Cooper out thing? What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I fully agree with Dino. I think, especially with the issues that we've got with injuries, and we know that we've got to make changes in terms of bringing new players in the January transfer window. I think that is Cooper's benchmark now. He's got to prove himself now, I feel, to make sure that he's going to be able to. He's had half a season at this point or is almost even a season and a half for a large majority of the players to get them together, build the team that he wants to build. He survived relegation. He's now been able to really expand on the players that he's brought in and build a team that is worthy of easily staying in the Premier League. We have had a couple of injuries, so that's where we've got to strengthen again in the January transfer window. But now is his time, especially with some of the run of fixtures that we've got. He has to show that he's going to be able to get something out of these lads. I know that we are, again, probably more on the Cooper out part, but I was pretty much devoutly Cooper in most of last season. And that was looking through the rose-tinted spectacles of what he'd managed to do for us, which I've not seen in my entire lifetime. So I had a lot of love and respect for him, but you have to start taking that off and looking at it objectively, because I feel like people who are devoutly Cooper in, they'll take the result against Aston Villa and they'll kind of run it and rub it in everyone else's faces and say, look what we've had now that we've had Cooper in. And then they'll ignore the next 5 or 6 results. They'll say, oh, we were playing away to West Ham, so you can't expect to do anything there. Oh, we're playing against Brighton, they're playing in Europe, so you shouldn't expect to beat them. I don't care. We're trying to move up in the Premier League. We should be at least getting points from these games and looking like comfortable enough to be able to win in these games, and we just don't. We never look comfortable in any game, and there has to be some changes. We've made changes to the players. We've brought in a brand new squad, brand new 2 or 3 squads, for God's sake, to be able to make up those upgrades. We've made changes to the staff. There's pretty much only one spot left that we've not made changes to, and we're sticking by him, and we all want him to do as well as he can do. No one wants him to fail so we can get rid of him. If Steve Cooper was able to propel us up that league, we'd all be absolutely overjoyed for him because of what he's been able to do for us. But I just can't see it. If I could see it, I'd be behind him, but I just don't see it. And it's really sad.
That's really well said. That's hit the nail on the head.
That's why I love having Joe on, man. It's just so articulated in it's hard to
stash, and it's that 40s look he's got going on.
Can I just respond to the we're in 14th, for God's sake, what do you expect? Blah blah blah. Right. Yeah. I'm a Forest fan. I expect with the squad we've got to be at least mid-table. And 11th. If we'd not absolutely thrown away results by playing shit football at times, then we would have been at least mid-table. Being 14th, we've got the 3 worst teams to ever come out of the Championship. So there's 3 places. We've got Everton who've been deducted 10 points. There's another place. So take those away, we might not be 14th. And we're 14th, but we're getting closer and closer to 15th and 16th and 17th. Well, it doesn't matter.
We're only 3 or 4 points.
And stop comparing this season with last season. Last season, it was stay up at all costs. This season, it's make progress. we're honestly, guys, we're not making progress. We are with the squad, we're not with the results, and we're not with the style of play. It's got to change.
I
We're
think
Forest, for God's sake. Remember who we are. We're not Brentford. We're not Palace. We're not even Brighton. We're bigger clubs than all of those. So we should be doing better, but we're not.
I think this is, I mean, TC says this so eloquently as well. Thing is, you say teams like Luton, mate, they are 1 win / 3 points.
But they shouldn't be.
Exactly.
They shouldn't be.
Exactly. I've just got a couple of super chats here. Then, Crypto, I want to get your thoughts on it. Sharky with the £2, 38 points last year, 13 points this year.
I don't even understand that. I don't even understand that, Sharky. I don't understand that. 38 points last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I don't get the points thing because I think we've got
what
more
he's saying,
points
I think at the moment we're tracking at a point a game.
1 point a game.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
38 games, 38 points last
Yeah.
year. 13 games, 13 points this year.
So there's no progress. And and this is an interesting one, isn't it? Because a lot of people I've heard all season so far, oh, when we went to the Emirates, we held 5. We only lost 2-1 this season. So that's progress. When we went to Man U, we lost whatever. It was only 3-2 this time. I wonder what the excuses will be on this Brighton one. This is an interesting one, isn't it? Because what was the reverse fixture last year? We won 3-1. So that excuse is
4 points from
very, very quiet. Just let me bring in a couple more comments as well. David says, back to the bad old days where we go through managers. Again, I'm for Coops, but we got to get a good striker and defend better, sucker set pieces. The only thing I would argue back with that is 2 points. The bad old days of the managers, I fully agree. They were like, it was like a revolving door. However, the difference of recruiting a manager from the championship, when you're a championship club, to the Premier League, the attraction is night and day. So the quality of the manager you can attract in the Premier League, even if you're a shitty Sheffield United, is better than something you could attract in the championship. And you could argue the revolving door in the end led to Cooper. Were you guys saying with Houghton, oh, just stick it out and see what would happen and so on? If Houghton hadn't been sacked, we wouldn't have ended up with Cooper and would still be in the championship. So you can look at it one way or the other, in my opinion.
Can I just add to that as well? Because you're quite right what you're saying as well. So which of those managers that we sacked are we saying we shouldn't have sacked? I mean, I often hear this, oh, look at Forest. They did the right thing last season. They stuck with their manager. Absolutely. But sticking with the wrong manager doesn't mean you're going to be successful. Do you understand what I'm saying? Oh, we don't want to go back to sacking managers, so we'll stick with this manager no matter how bad it is. Like, let's take Houghton. Should we not have sacked Houghton then because we don't want this revolving door? Sometimes you have to change the manager for the benefit of the club.
Can I just mention something that's a little bit off topic, but I did want to mention it. We've got to stop giving away stupid
again, is it?
We've got to stop giving away stupid free kicks. Oh my God, that's going to be the bane of us this season. That's it. That's all I wanted to say.
All right.
That was my cling film.
That's going to derail us, dude. That will derail us.
No, sorry.
Yeah.
I
want to hear what Crypto's got to say on the situation.
So I think the thing that annoys me the most about Cooper is his post-match interviews. The one that tipped me over the edge was where he blamed Bolly for the jet lag. But yesterday, blaming the penalty, for me, is a moot point because we had a very similar penalty at the other end. So if you take away the penalties, we would have still lost 2-1. I think it's just a crap excuse. For me, if he doesn't learn from this and change really quickly, then I think he could be gone quite soon. The next time we go 1-0 up, he needs to go and try and get 2 and 3 goals in that game. Because if we go 1-0 up again and lose, I think Marinakis would be seriously annoyed. I mean, for me, we should beat Everton. It's a home match, isn't it? So on paper, we should beat Everton at home. Who knows what will happen if we lose that? If it's a hammering, I can see him going. To be honest, but he's always going to have an excuse. I was waiting for him in his press conference yesterday to use excuses like the striker situation, etc. He didn't. Instead, he blamed the penalty. But I think he's always got an excuse, and that's kind of what annoys me more is that he always has to put the blame somewhere else.
I think, you know what, you triggered me with that interview because I kind of forgot about it. You know what the worst bit was I kind of don't mind if he wanted to hide behind the penalty. I agree with what you said. In my opinion, either they were both penalties or neither were penalties because the ball wasn't near the person who was getting fouled.
It wasn't a goal scoring opportunity. Like neither of them were.
So they're either both or they're not. To me, the scenarios were very similar. The thing that pissed me off about the interview was the fact he said, I'm not going to hide behind the penalty, but the penalty did change the course of the game. And then went on to talk about how he felt the penalty. We were 2-1 down. We weren't looking a massive threat at the time. And it's just like, and as it was said in the comments, the softballs that get chucked to him by Colin are just embarrassing, man. It's just like, can someone else? No, I love Colin. He's a great commentator. But why does he have to do the interviews afterwards, man? They're so softball in what's being asked. And what I want to know as a fan about what's being, I want those right questions to be asked to the manager.
Exactly.
And Double O saying here, it's just excuses to save his jobs. It's a diversion tactic. Dino, we've seen it a lot this season that referees are high on the agenda. And again, it's something else he said. He goes, I'm one of those ones that are trying to be supportive and things. Well, you're probably up there with Arteta, maybe not to the extreme of Arteta, of the one who has been complaining the most about the refs on loads of decisions. It's getting a little frustrating for me.
Yeah, I've mentioned the word Teflon before, haven't I? About him, and I don't know. I just think as a manager in any walk of life, you've got to take responsibility. That's what you get paid for. You've got to take ultimate responsibility. If your players are crap, you get rid of them, or bring somebody else into the squad. If you're not doing well in the first half, you give them a rollicking at half time. Like Ant said, they went down low blocked after we scored the first goal, and he should be screaming to get him back up the pitch, but he's not. I don't know. You see him frustrated sometimes on the touchline, going, "Oh, fucking hell," and things like that, but never really anything for me that's
that's because somebody's ran on the pitch with a mirror and he's thinking, what an absolute idiot, but he's just looking at himself.
But I'll go back to what I was saying. The players have got to take some responsibility. They're professional footballers. A lot of them had bad games yesterday.
Yeah. And what was your take on the penalties? What was your take on the penalties?
I don't think either of them were penalties.
Yeah, I agree.
So it balances out. And
they were almost identical, weren't they?
I said to you, sorry?
They were almost identical.
Yeah. I didn't think either of them were penalties. And I said to you last night, Wolfie, that it's a real sign of a manager under pressure when he starts blaming refereeing decisions, especially when that refereeing decision was balanced out anyway. So, yeah. I mean, he never used to, did he? I think he's feeling the pressure. And you can understand why he's feeling the pressure, to be honest.
Chad, did you think it was penalties or not? Just get your thoughts in on that.
For me, it's feeling the pressure, but the pressure is brought on by his own decisions. Making the presumption that the players following the tactics of the game, we should have, I don't know what the saying is, but we should have put the game to bed once we're 1-0 up. Just keep attacking, try and get a few more goals clear before we sit back and try and defend.
I love the chat. I love Mark. Another £2 from Sharky, absolute legend. Thank you so much. Time for team to man up and save me from sadness. It is depressing. Boys, what I'm sick of right now is like feeling really high after the Villa game, then getting annoyed after the what was next, West Ham, and it's like it's the hope. I did say to you guys, Forest will do a Forest on this one. I did feel it coming. But I'm just getting frustrated, and it's like, where do we go now? Is this going to be the rest of our season?
Well, where we go now is we've got, I think it's 7 games. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. 7 games up to the end of the year. So that's before we can dip into the transfer window. So we have to do something. And as the manager, he has to dig deep and find a solution. Because 7 games, the way we're going at the minute, with 1 win out of 9, if we carry on the same, we're going to be right on the edge of relegation zone again, I'm afraid.
But Dino
needs to find something.
As Ant kind of hinted at earlier, let's say yesterday we had Taiwo, I'm not sure we would have won that game because we were sat back. Even if we had a striker at the top of the pitch who can score goals, we weren't playing that type of football after we went 1-0 up.
I think we'd have done better, to be honest. You listen, at the end of the day, Dunk being sent off like that was ridiculous for their captain.
Yeah,
that really that was the only thing that brought us back in the game, because they, even at 2-1, they started to just pass around us, didn't they?
Dino, do you know what he called him? He called him a bold prick.
Huh?
He called him a bold prick, apparently.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be sent off for telling the truth.
We call Dino it all the time.
The ref.
Okay, I want to move on to a positive, and I know there was few and far between. Yeah, but how excited were you guys about Tough Low on corners? Because I was ecstatic.
Much better. But you know what really annoyed me at the end when we had? I mean, it probably wouldn't have come of anything, but Callum Hudson-Odoi, we had one chance right at the end. There was about 10 seconds left, and he just kicked it straight into the first man, and the whistle went. It's like it's such a waste, but it is what it is.
Set pieces.
This meant to be a positive. Cheer up, boys. Cheer up.
We've got nobody to finish him off, man. We've got 50p head. We've got Chris Ward, who does dummy jumps for the person behind him. Listen, what about De Zerbi? Are we not going to discuss De Zerbi running up and down like he'd won the World Cup?
I was literally going to come on to that. What did you think about their celebrations?
Really?
You know, at the game, it looked really. We were thinking, what's gone off? What's gone off? Why? Because all the subs ran on, all the management team ran on, they all ran. We were going, what's gone off? You know, have they won something? Listen, I'm not celebration, please. People can do what they like. They could toss themselves off from the top of the Trenton stand if they want, as long as I'm not walking past, obviously. Let people celebrate how they want to celebrate. But it was strange. It did look particularly strange yesterday.
It was a bit over the top, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit like, I think it was a bit of 50-50. I think it was the relief of winning because they were in bad form. But I also think because Real Madrid are now touting De Zerbi as their next manager, I think it was probably more relief for him that he didn't have another L or another, bad result. So
I mean, for me,
it did make me laugh after it did.
That's the type of run you do when you hear that Wood's going to retire. Apart from that, I don't really think
Crypto for it. He's got his claws into Wood.
Look, we've got a shout out to Martin. We've got the actual celebrations on the TikTok channel provided by the beautiful Martin. So if you want to check them out, we got like a long footage of it. It is quite funny. Just do ! TikTok in the chat. Make sure you're following us on TikTok as well. I'll say this, who are we to police how they should celebrate? I'll be honest with you. I don't know what you think, Lemmy, because I've seen us celebrate the 0-0 at Brighton like we'd won the league last year. Yeah, we started celebrating Crystal Palace in the final game last season before the ball had even been kicked off. Yeah. So who are we to tell Brighton after a 6-game non-winning streak how and how not they should celebrate? Newcastle did it last year at the City Ground when they won in the last minute. I don't think they felt that they'd won the Champions League. But what was your thoughts on it?
Alanga stripped his shirt off the other week.
Yeah.
And then we let it go in 50 seconds later. So same thing. It didn't bother me at all.
My thunder.
Sorry,
we can go even more recent than that. We can go 2 weeks ago, or not even that, 1 week ago, the last time that I was on this channel. And I remember a question that was asked of me asking, what did I think of Alanga's celebration of scoring taking his 2-1 and taking his top off? And I said, it seemed a bit weird at the time. And I remember Ant saying, I love the passion. I love the celebration. I want that from Forest players. But as soon as it's the other team doing it to Forest, we're all about, that's not quite right.
Not me, Lemmy. I didn't say that. I said let him celebrate.
Go on, Lemmy.
That is exactly
what I've got to respond to the fucking thing he's just said.
You can respond after he's finished. You don't have to stop him.
You never come to me after.
I remember the passionate speech that you said. I want all Forest players to be celebrating like that and running to the Forest fans in the away end. and giving it something. We want to have it. And I was like, but it was in the 60th minute and we hadn't won the game, but we celebrated like we just scored a 90th minute, like equaliser or winner in a World Cup final or the Champions League final. So to then try and turn it on the other foot on Brighton, who have had a terrible run of form and they're running to their away end after actually winning the game, I don't think we can then try and start throwing stones when we're in our own glass houses.
There's some great stuff on Twitter.
Hold on,
I've already said it. I said with Brighton, let them celebrate how they like. I wasn't like saying Langer was okay, but they're not. I said, let them celebrate.
I know. I just wanted to give you the right response. I did say to the guys with me as we're walking out, because they were getting a bit, what are they up to? I said, look upon it as a compliment. They've beaten the mighty Nottingham Forest at the City Ground. It's a big deal. Star. Exactly. I don't mind it. I don't know. What you saying?
We're just not used to it because we don't win any matches.
He's so down in the dumps.
And we used to be mighty.
Who brought the Grim Reaper in tonight?
Well, I'm going to be Grim Reaper number 2 because we used to be mighty. We're not anymore.
Oh,
we bloody well are.
No,
we
we're not.
Are and will always be the mighty.
No, we're a lower half Premier League side. We're not mighty. We used to.
No,
be.
you're wrong. You're wrong. We are the mighty Nottingham Forest. Don't ever pull your own club down. That's sacrilege. We are the mighty Nottingham Forest.
I'm just saying it as it is, like we always do on this channel.
We are the best team this world has ever seen. We are the greatest. We are the best club, and we are the greatest club. And we have the best ground and the best supporters.
We have the best supporters without a shadow of a doubt. But we're a lower Premier League team.
No, we're not. No, we're not. We are potential European champions.
We should have been a
potential European champions. Might not be this season, might not be next season, but we are potential European champions. And you know how I know that, do you know? Because we've done it twice before.
I know we have. While these guys weren't even born.
So congratulations to Queen's Park Rangers, who could quite easily get promoted this season.
I was there.
From the bottom of the championship.
You were just going on earlier about not living in the past with Cooper, about what he did in the championship. Just saying.
That's not the club. That's the manager. The club is different.
Hey, that's from another bold twat.
One of the day from Paul right there.
We should be sticking together here.
That bold twat up.
Oh, don't make me laugh.
All right. On that one positive that we found, we'll stick with and we'll say with the greatest team in the world. We've gone like an hour and a half. That time has absolutely flown by. I don't feel we've done anything to help the mood of the fan base, but it is what it is. But yeah,
I rouse them to the cause.
What's the poll?
Oh, the poll. So at the moment, it's quite interesting. 300 have voted. 37 are Cooper in, 34 are Cooper, 34% that is a Cooper out, and 29% are on the fence. It's a big come down from the 75% on the previous poll. Very, very interesting.
Very interesting.
So, but I think a lot of people are just voting with emotion right now. You know, once the dust has settled, if we beat Everton, then we are exactly what Ant said. We are exactly what Ant said. So let's finish off there. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. Harvey was asking, is there a video out tomorrow? Yes, there is, but it might be an evening one because I got BS going on at work. It will probably be the 5 things we learned, and then there'll be some transfer videos, the usual stuff throughout the week. And then, of course, build up. Beat the drop tomorrow. Thank you. Be the drop tomorrow. We got Vizza coming on, the Burnley fan. You guys loved him so much and he enjoyed it so much. He's coming on. We will be taking the piss so hard out of Rich. If you need cheering up tomorrow night, 7 p.m., do not miss it because Crystal Palace lost to Luton and it's going to be so much fun. Poor Rich. He's already accepted the invite and he will be there. So we will promise we will cheer you guys up tomorrow by taking the piss out the other fan bases. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Love you all. Come on, you Reds.
Come on, you Reds.